Good morning, everyone. It is your main man, Big O, aka Big O Strongman. And today I am airing my first episode on my podcast, A Few Are Chosen Podcast. And the topic I'll be covering today are the 5 benefits of solitude for men. So without further ado, I'm gonna hop in. So my first point that I will bring up is introspection. Introspection is one of the most important, if not the most essential parts for growth as a man. When you take time to step away from the vast majority, when you take time to step away from your mundane life, whether it be work, your job, school, you have no choice but to be honest with yourself and face your inner demons. And this is really the catalyst that forms a fire within you that really can't be put out. You feel invincible, you feel unstoppable. You create friendships that you didn't think you would, because the whole reason that you isolate yourself and form introspection in the first place is because more than likely someone did you wrong and you have to go back and reevaluate yourself. Because a lot of times we befriend toxic people, we befriend a lot of miserable people in this world, and even though they did us wrong, we question our own character for allowing them to enter our lives in the first place. So now you sit back and you're like, okay, what type of traits do I have that attract these type of people? It's really not necessarily my fault that they treated me like this, but what boundaries did I not set up? What things did I allow? What things did I tolerate in that relationship? Because whether we like it or not, if this is a recurring thing in your life, you have to come to the realization that it's partly your fault that you keep attracting toxic people into your life. Leeches that want to suck all the joy out of you, that want to taint your spirit. And this brings me into my second point about how isolation makes you a more desirable person. So now that said person has taken time to be introspective and they have a better understanding of human nature, you're not so easily swayed or affected by other people's opinions. You become relatively impervious to other people's opinions about you, rumors that may spread about you. People subconsciously notice that, and when they see that you have an unwavering peace about you, they want to obtain that peace too. It's like, okay, he has something that I don't have. This man isn't easily swayed by other people's opinions. He's impervious to rumors about him. This man has good composure. He has good self-control. He has a very grounded confidence within himself. I want to obtain that too. And though they may not come out and say that, they subconsciously relay that by gravitating towards you, by asking for your counsel, by wanting to hang out with you, by wanting to be around you, by wanting to just feed off your positive energy, by wanting to feed off the joy that's within your spirit, basically. And this ties into my third point of how isolation can make you a more valuable person. So if you look at all the valuable commodities in all the earth, whether it be silver, gold, diamonds, the whole reason those things are very valuable is because they're not easily attainable. Because if everyone had access to it, if it was in circulation, like a lot of the other metals, all those commodities will go down in value. They will deplete drastically. So when people see that you can isolate yourself and fix yourself behind closed doors and come back out into public, people really do take tabs of that, especially if you've been going to the gym, you've been hitting the weight room, you've been hitting your sprints hard, and people see that your body's transforming. Or if you've been working on a business and people see that you've been isolated because you've been actually being constructive with your time and you have the results to prove it. And as a result, people have nothing but good things to spread about you. And because of that, now you're able to network and your business grows. People see that you've been posting your workout videos online, whether it be on Instagram or YouTube, and you have random people walk up to you for advice and be like, okay, all right, so I see you have the results I want. I see you're big, so how do I get like that? What steps could I take towards that? Point number 4 is that you're able to hear God's voice more clear. You're able to hear God's voice clearly. Because in order to do that, you have to isolate yourself from the crowd. You have to, even temporarily, I'm not saying permanently, but even temporarily isolate yourself from social media, because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that there's so much negativity circulating around in the world. We just want to receive it and give it to other people. And when we eradicate that from our minds and simply just isolate ourselves, God really speaks to us, and it's not always an audible voice. Sometimes you don't literally hear the voice of God, but if you ask God for a sign, He will show it to you if you're adamant about chasing it. So from personal experience, God usually speaks to me through another person. Like I'll be just sitting somewhere minding my own business, an elderly person will walk up to me and be like, "Okay, it was incumbent of me to tell you this. It was laid upon my spirit to tell you this." And they'll just tell me what they needed to tell me at that particular moment. And other ways that God speaks to me will be like a literal visual, whether it be a writing on a billboard or a literal writing on paper or something random like that. But I'll know it was a message from God because it'll speak directly to what I was asking for. And I'll feel a part of my spirit feels gratified after receiving that as well. But God speaks to us differently. So that's up to the recipient. Point number 5 is how isolation for men really births creativity. If you look at all the biggest inventors in human history, a lot of them were hermits. I'm not saying you have to take it to that extent where you completely cut off human interaction, but you look at Igor Stravinsky, you look at Nikola Tesla. These people were very reclusive, but yet they had a formative influence on the human progression in technology and music. You talk to a lot of famous people, and the biggest thing that they touch on, whether they just received an award from the Grammys or Oscars, is be wary of your friend group. Have little friends in your circle. You can't be friends with everyone. You can't. Most of the time, you have to be isolated in order to be creative, because other people's like energy, other people's opinions are really gonna disrupt you. So it's important to blind yourself from that. Well, not even blind yourself from that, because I think we should all hear people's opinions to some degree and consider it, but we should never be swayed by it in order to conform to it. But it's important to block that out to some degree. Because if I'm running a race, right? I'm running a race and I look to my left and to my right continuously, I'm gonna slow down because my trajectory isn't towards the finish line. The more I turn my head, the more I'm gonna slow down, and the more people are gonna surpass me. And that's the same thing when we isolate ourselves. We mind our own business and stay in our own lane and really tap into our gifts. As Albert Einstein said, the monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind. I want to thank everybody for tuning in on my first episode on my podcast, A Few Are Chosen Podcast. And as Aristotle said, he who delights in solitude is either a wild beast or a god. So when you take time to isolate yourself, please consider which one you are. Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday.